What is up, you guys? Welcome to the Racy Podcast. This is your host, Cristopher Zamora. Welcome to the show. So today, guys, I want to speak to you about Ilia Topuria's fight, the one he just had with Alexander Volkanovski. This guy, man, I knew it. I freaking knew it that he was going to KO Volkanovski. Because since his last fight against Islam Makhachev, I really have no idea how fighters react like right after they get KO'd. Like usually they're like probably not the same guy anymore right after that. Like take away with what happened with Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman. Leon actually KO'd Usman, and Usman right after that fight, he had a rematch against Leon and he lost. Probably he tried not to take as many risks because maybe he was afraid to get KO'd again. And that is why right after he fought Khamzat Chimaev, maybe that was like his downfall now. I really don't know. Maybe he can still make a comeback. But to be honest, that fight between Kamaru Usman and Khamzat Chimaev, I think maybe if it gone to at least 5 rounds, I think probably Kamaru Usman would have come back and maybe even beat Khamzat Chimaev. I don't think Khamzat Chimaev would have get KO'd on that fight if that ever had happened, but it didn't. They only had 3 rounds, and Usman lost against Khamzat Chimaev by decision. Yeah. So now going back to Alexander Volkanovski. Volkanovski did get KO'd by Islam Makhachev. And to be honest, like that fight, that was a sequel fight for them. It was the second fight. Islam Makhachev won the first one, right? But I think he should have had like a full camp to actually fight him, man. Because he decided to actually fight him in a 2 weeks notice, I believe, or 11 days, not even 14 days. So yeah, I don't think Alexander should have taken that fight and should have had a full camp to fight Islam Makhachev. But now that he got KO'd against Makhachev, I think that somewhat affected like his whole career, because getting KO'd, I don't think a fighter is never the same anymore. But usually, like for the lower weight classes, I don't think for the heavyweight classes it doesn't really matter. But the lower classes, like the flyweight class, yeah, I think it matters a lot. And I think that's what affected Volkanovski when he fought Topuria. And to be honest, man, this guy, Ilia Topuria, he is such a beast, man. I really knew that he was going to KO him. I believe there were fans of Topuria that they were rooting for him against Volkanovski. And yeah, and Volk, he was the favorite going on this fight. But it does suck, man. Now that he got KO'd twice, he needs a really long break. And so what does this mean for the flyweight division? To be honest, I did not see Volkanovski's reign. Like supposedly he was a champion for at least 5 years. I started watching MMA around 2021, and I didn't really see him like in his peak era. I just mostly saw him like right after he fought the zombie guy. That was when I started noticing of him, when he fought Islam Makhachev as well. So that's when I started noticing of Volk. His fight between Topuria, yeah, man, it really was a fight that maybe might have messed him up for some time. He needs a long break, and now that Topuria is champion, this is good for the division because now I'm guessing this is the new era. This is a new era for the flyweight division. Well, for any division overall. Look, like I have three champions. We had three champions now that I believe they're the main guys of supposedly of this new era. So here they are. It's Ilia Topuria, right? The second one I think is Sean O Malley, and the third one I have to say maybe it's controversial, but I believe that Alex Pereira. I think he is the one. He could be the third guy on the list. They're the three main guys of the UFC right now. That's what I believe. I believe if these three guys go down, then another era will start. But like these three right here, these three are going to stay champions for a very long time. I don't think Sean O'Malley is going to lose against Chito Vera. I will be surprised if he actually does lose. But yeah, Topuria, man, he's a 27-year-old guy. He's just a year older than me. And he's now a champion. I even bought one of his PSA cards. I really knew it, man. I knew that he was going to be a champion one day. And now he is. 15 and 0. He hasn't lost at all. And Sean O'Malley, he did lose one fight against Chito. But he says that he didn't lose it, but he did lose it. He really did lose it. So now Alex Pereira, he did had two fights against Israel Adesanya. He won the first one in the UFC, and the second one he lost it. He got KO'd. I believe in the second round, and I believe that I think they should have had this trilogy fight for the UFC 300 event. Alex Pereira is going to the main event, UFC 300, against a man named Jamal Hill, I believe. I really don't know what's his first name. But like, I really don't know much about Jamal Hill. I just know that Alex Pereira, he's a beast. Like, I really thought that when he fought Yuri Prohaska, I really thought that he was going to give him a very hard time. But no, he didn't. He's like, I believe he KO'd him. He KO'd him or he did a stoppage. Dude, Alex Pereira is such a good competitor. I was surprised on that fight, man. Even though I was going for Alex to win this fight, I thought he was going to get like knocked down or something like that against Yuri Prohaska. I thought Alex Pereira was going to lose this one. But no, he didn't, man. He actually defeated Yuri. And this is something great for the UFC, man. Because they need new talent and like people to sell pay-per-view events. Even though Alex cannot really speak the English language, he mostly speaks in Brazilian. Just like his tone, like in his personality, that's what mostly sells the fights for him. Like Mike Tyson back then, he really wasn't a guy that spoke much, but like just how he looked, how scary, like all the boxers were afraid of him. That's how I see Alex Pereira in a way. Like, you get me? That's how I see Alex Pereira when he fights his opponents now. He's a guy that doesn't speak much, but like just his tone and how he carries himself, that's what makes a great fighter for Alex Pereira. And then we have Conor McGregor, the guy that likes to talk smack to everybody, anywhere, everywhere, all at once. It's just a guy that wants to get into people's heads, and he did accomplish that. He was successful on it. So yeah, it's dope, man. It's dope that we have a new era of MMA, I'm guessing. Ilia Topuria, Sean O'Malley, and Alex Pereira. These are the three main guys right now that we have as champions. I want to put Leon Edwards on there because he has been there for quite some time. I believe he has been on the MMA scene since like the mid 2010s, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, I believe he has been there that long. So yeah, man, that's dope. We have a new era of MMA fighters, and this is gonna be good, man. I do feel this is gonna bring many more great competitors on the scene, and we're gonna get to know many more newer faces. So it's awesome, man. It's awesome to see this, like for the first time ever, since I'm a newbie to the MMA scene. This is something awesome to actually see and to be a part of, because I'm a MMA fan. And we're actually going to get a UFC event for tonight. By the time you're watching this, you already know who is going to win. But like, there's going to be an event for UFC that I believe is taking place in Mexico City. Most of the fighters that are on the main card or even on the prelims, they are going to be fighting in Mexico City. And plus, they're from Mexican descent and also Mexican American descent. So like, they're representing Mexico, which is dope, man. That's awesome. I don't think there hasn't really been anything like that before, and it's awesome to see that. But like, the only fight I'm looking forward to is Raul Rusa's his fight against the guy that he's fighting tonight. Let's see how this guy does, man. He's not even a guy. He's just still a kid, I believe. I think he's like 19 or 20 years old. But he's still a kid, and it's just awesome to see this because he's just a younger guy fighting these men. They're like my age, and he's 19, which is crazy. And it kind of does remind me of how Mike Tyson was when he was young, and he became a champion when he was 20 years old. That's what Raul Rosas wants to be someday, a champion. But does he have the will to become a champion? It all really depends on him. Last week, I saw a video of him, like, just ding-dong ditching, like, just in the neighborhood. I don't know what's he thinking, but I used to do that when I was like 7 or 8 years old. Don't do that again, man. Yeah. But I really want to see his fight. I want to see what he is capable of, what his potential is. His last fight, he KO'd the guy that he fought in the very first round, I believe, or second. But I know it was the early rounds. Raul Rosas, man, he hasn't. He hasn't. He just needs to stay focused, and he could become a champion one day. He can, man. I believe he can. And there's the other fight as well with Brandon Moreno. I do not know who he's fighting, but what I remember is that it's a second fight between them two. I don't know who won the very first fight, but like, yeah, almost every single fight I've seen from Brandon Moreno, he like comes out all bloody and stuff. So like, he's been in wars. Brandon Moreno. So I'll be tuning in into that fight as well. And let's see how it actually goes for all of these fights. I probably might tune in to all of them just to see how they actually fight. So yeah, man, I am excited to actually see this event. Hopefully you tune in as well to see who is better, who is the best fighters from this UFC event. And yeah, guys, that is it for this podcast. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you guys made it this far on the podcast, make sure to subscribe to the channel or whatever platform you are listening to it. If you are listening to it on Spotify, YouTube, Pandora, make sure to follow it, and also recommend this podcast to a friend or neighbor that actually likes listening to stuff about combat sports. Maybe they will enjoy this podcast as much as you do. And that is it, guys. Again, thank you so much for listening. Take care and live to the fullest. Bye.